stand and deliver. That's all I got. Should I just start going straight to credits? I don't know. Is it just that I don't have a lot to say sometimes? And that's the thing. I'm actually not gonna have a lot to say on this episode. I've started taking notes on my viewings, which I didn't used to, but like normally I get a full page of notes. That's all I've got for this one. And that's not even because it's bad. If it was bad, I'd have a heck of a lot more notes. But it's the concepts that it's dealing with are well explored, but it is just kind of taking those concepts and just sticking with them, start to finish. It isn't shifting, it isn't involving a lot of additional things. Part of that may be because Clara is absent, which is actually something I kind of appreciate. No, that's not a dig at Clara, but like, I feel that I feel like fans talk about, ooh, should we have another Dr. Light episode? Like, how about a few more Companion Light episodes? You know, something like Midnight, something like this, where the Doctor is missing his usual support system. Now, Midnight took much better advantage of that idea than this does, but, you know, I think giving the Companion a rest now and then and having the Doctor deal with something on his own, that's valid. I'm here for that. But it may be the fact that we are now, as a result, we are lacking the overarching elements of the development and the exploration of Clara and the Doctor's relationship, which has been a surprisingly big part of this series, like more than I remember it being, and that's to its credit so far. Even though I don't always like what it's doing, like the fact that that's an ongoing thing, that's a good thing. And lacking that extra element means that basically all this thing's got going for it is the plot and some of the themes. It doesn't have that extra layer of what's also going on with Clara and the Doctor, which makes it feel just very basic, has taken on a cruel implication, like, oh, that's just basic. And I don't mean it like that, but like it just feels kind of run-of-the-mill, kind of standard, kind of, maybe even lacking a little bit, but not because of any issues of quality, just because there's fewer elements at play. So what I will say is, I said last time that they did not use Maisie Williams very well in The Girl Who Died. Basically, that could have been played by any young actress. Here, they take much better advantage of her and her acting range and her ability to go cold, which is something that Game of Thrones also used her quite well for. And that, you can really doubt her intention, her moral compass. And she can make you wonder, is it still there? She can play the pain very well. I actually think that the Doctor going through her journals and going through, some of the things that she suffers through, particularly we have that scene where she is crying over cribs of dead children, her children, and that is powerful, and that hurts me to watch, and especially knowing that, later on she says, the really bad memories I rip out of these journals. And the Doctor says, what could be worse than losing your kids? She said, I leave that in to remind myself never to do it again. Like that, dang, man, that's rough. And I do find a lot of the core concepts of what's going on with, I don't know whether I should call her Ashlidr or me. I'll probably keep calling her Ashlidr for now. The Doctor does, partly to antagonize her, but whatever. So there's a lot that I enjoy about this. I like that it addresses the idea, because this was something that, like, Douglas Adams also touched on with Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, that the brain is not infinite. It's got limited storage capacity. And so she is living so much longer than humans were ever built to last. And while the chip that was put into her is healing her body, it can't expand her mind to be able to encompass all these experiences that is far more than she was ever supposed to be able to have. And so she keeps forgetting stuff. Anything that she doesn't deem as extra important, or she doesn't, that doesn't have a reason to really get lodged in there, or that she doesn't write down. That's just going to fade away with time. Because you can't save everything here. And like I said, Douglas Adams did a similar thing with a time-traveling character in Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. So there is... that's always a concept that I've liked. Like, one of the unforeseen consequences of living too long. That's an interesting one that, again, not truly original, but I do like that concept, so I'm happy to see it here. The moral ambiguity of her, I think, is also pretty well played, because there's a little bit of, for lack of a better comparison, the Groundhog's Day scenario. So in Groundhog's Day, and most sort of time loops, granted she's not in a loop, she just keeps going, but, Bill Murray's character goes through a number of phases: confusion, and then sort of rapturous joy at, like, I can do anything. And then later this melancholy of, what's the point? I'm still going to be here unchanged no matter what I do. And I feel like she's hit that period. Or maybe she may be in the beginning or the tail end of it, but she's definitely had it. And it does make you think, like, we can't count on her having the same moral center that she did the last time we saw her, because she's been around too long. She's seen and done and lost too much that now she's just kind of checked out a bit. And even though I'm going to call her Ashlidr, because it's just awkward to say me. I suppose I could say Lady Me, but I don't know. It doesn't roll off the tongue well. I do actually really like the explanation as to why she calls herself that. I think that's a very cool idea. And again, plays into all the things she's forgotten. Again, I think that's good stuff. Some of the other elements, Sam Swift, the Quick, or something like that, he's fun. I actually kind of enjoy him. This guy who is operating on this desperate assumption: if I can keep these people happy, maybe they won't kill me. and I like how that plays out and how that works, especially at the end, and especially given the Doctor's normal thing against banter. And actually specifically saying, I don't like puns, which is basically saying I don't like dad jokes. But then he willingly participates at the very end when Sam Swift might get hanged in order to keep this guy alive for a little while. I like that the Doctor willingly participates in something he just announced because maybe it'll save a guy. Because, yeah, that's the Doctor. I don't have that much more to talk about. Suppose I can get to the cat thing. Hold off on that. But the interactions between the Doctor and Ashlidr, her grievances with him feel pretty earned. He left her behind. He left her and in a situation that a human being is not supposed to be in, with no guidance, no help. And he didn't come back. He didn't even come back for her now. He ran into her out of sheer coincidence. You can see the frustration in her face when she realizes that he didn't even come back to see her now on purpose. It was by accident. And that feels like she's got a pretty legitimate bone to pick with him on that. I really love the importance of the mayflies speech that the Doctor has. This thing that he says to her is like, it's important for those of us who live as long as we do to be around people who don't.
They know how beautiful and precious life is because it's fleeting.
And we need to be around them so something reminds us, because on our own, we can forget that. And she kind of had, and I like that. And there's also a line that the Doctor has that I really like. It's something like, you can try not caring, but eventually you're going to fall off the wagon. I'm like, that feels like a quick sum up of basically Series 8. The Doctor kind of tried being colder and not caring, but it didn't take, did it? And thank goodness. But I like that as a summation. So, the cat thing. I think that this is the main weakness with this episode. So, most of the rest of the material is good, not great, but good. and solid. But this whole thing with this cat alien deceiving her, it doesn't feel organically integrated at all. Like, I buy that in the absence of the Doctor, if she thinks she has experienced everything that is worth experiencing here on Earth, that she is willing to go to some notable lengths to get into the stars, but they don't integrate this particular character into the story in order to facilitate that. They kind of use the fact that, well, she's justified in wanting to get off planet as just a reason to, and I guess cat alien. Yeah, sure, why not? No, the question isn't why not, the question is why. You don't really have an answer, do you? Again, it's not awful, but it doesn't feel like it's from the same story. Again, her desire, that fits the themes and the ideas being explored, but this being and how he looks and how he acts and the fact that he deceives her, none of this factors into the themes. It's just kind of there, I feel like, for sake of an action-y wrap-up, which I don't think the thing needed. I almost kind of wish that they excised that completely, and this was just down to philosophical debate between Ashlidr and the Doctor having to convince her of the value of life again without an additional alien element. I don't think, like, I understand some of the narrative function that the alien aspects have in this, but I feel like the other elements would have been richer if they didn't have to share space with this thing, because it's not contributing to what the rest of the episode's doing, which is kind of a bummer, because a bit like the episode before, it has really good moments that make a episode pretty good, but it could have been more. And in this, unlike The Girl Who Died, where I didn't necessarily have a suggestion for how to really elevate it, here I do. Get rid of the cat. Just ditch the cat. Find some other thing that she can do that will cause some degree of chaos, that will wake her up and remind her, I'm not okay with collateral damage like this. Just find a way. There are ways to do it without having to introduce an alien. And again, I come back to this thing. I feel like Doctor Who, modern Doctor Who especially, has this idea that, well, we have to have an alien every... No, you don't. You've got a sci-fi element already. So it's not like it would be a pure historical. But you don't need an alien every time. And sometimes it just feels like it's there out of obligation. And that's what's kind of the thing here. So that's The Woman Who Lived. It's decent. Better use of Maisie Williams, as I said. Some pretty good themes, some good interactions, but doesn't quite come together because there's this rock in the middle of the soup. This cat-shaped rock. What am I on about? I don't know, and you probably don't either. But that'll wrap it up for this one, folks. So I have a Patreon. If you are willing and able to help me out there, that would be incredibly helpful. But failing that, liking, sharing, subscribing, and of course, if you have rewatched this episode lately or you have any thoughts, I would love to hear them down in the comments, and let's talk about it. So that'll wrap it up for this one, folks. You don't have to do any of the things I just suggested. I would appreciate it, but end of the day, you're the council. I just run the meetings. So until next time, this council is adjourned.